Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Aurum Gallery. This is me, Mr. Goldie, and I have finally caught up with a man more infamous than me, probably, I would have thought. The mighty Voyder. And of course, he joins us today. How have you been?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's good to speak to you.
Yeah, I see you have the nominalities all wrapped up.
Mate, I'm COVID safe, you know? Got to stay COVID safe, innit?
Nobody would catch it from me via any video interview.
Yeah, well, that's what I was worried about, man. You're out in Asia, you know, just don't know.
Going to be toxic. He's one of them ones.
Exactly.
It is a pleasure because obviously, you know, we have a very mutual friend, along with a very good friend of mine over there at Montana.
Yeah, big Kevy.
So old Kevy Kev, he's been in the background. Got to say, for Global Arts, have been really quite instrumental with a lot of young British artists and spilling out into some, you know, European artists as well, I hear.
Yeah, definitely. They're supporting some good people, you know. And yeah, Big Kevy's done really well for them. Shout out Big Kevy.
Big shout to Kevin. I mean, it's quite, isn't it? I mean, from my point of view, isn't it quite amazing the heaps and bounds? Because we never talk about this when I speak to artists.
Yeah.
The amount of equipment and paint and, you know, the idea that, you know, from how far it's come in the last 10 even, as far as paint companies, rival paint companies, materials, and also the rule book, which I want to kind of touch base on. I mean, we don't want to. The dirty word, as I'd call it, is graffiti-rise. We are graffiti-rise, whether people like it or not. We just learned a whole other set of tools.
Yeah, I mean, I think graffiti started for me. It was a hobby and it was a way to be rebellious as a teenager. I never dreamt it would become a career or anything I could make a living from or be interested in all my life. But I mean, it's really kept my attention. I think I think with the popularity of street art over the last sort of 10 years, it's sort of they've got a lot of the love, which they deserve definitely. But I think the graffiti artists that really started this thing, that really started the roots of street art, of what street art is now, have sort of been forgotten, and they're still marginalized and hated by society. But the thing is, graffiti needs that. Graffiti can't really be accepted, can it? Because then it's not graffiti anymore.
Well, I think that's the idea of anything with, you know, it's like, you know, I can't exist as Goldie without metalheads, and metalheads will always do what road is. You know, the guys represent first, second gear, if you like.
Yeah.
While doing stuff in galleries and pushing it forward as an older version of myself, you're in fifth and sixth gear, conceptualizing and doing something different. It's also the time factor. With what it is, and I think that accelerated by how, you know, it became print and copy and paste and everything else, as opposed to having 5 great hours with
that's right.
the world, which is out of the window. But I also think that there's also that concept of, and I don't know what your viewpoint is on this, that taking it somewhere else is the thing. I think from a graffiti writer standpoint, so graffito, as in the Latin term, you know, putting one's mark on the wall, and from a Latin point of view, what is your end game? Is almost, you've taken it somewhere else. I mean, a lot of graffitists can go, well, this is it. It's never going to be the same when it translates into galleries, right? Like you said, it's the Puritan, and if society really gets it, then I guess the job's up. Right, it's I
think that's true. That would kill off the real rawness, the real part of graffiti. But I think what you and I are doing, and a lot of artists that have transitioned from graffiti into street art and graffiti into galleries, they're doing something different. You know, they're taking what they've learned, their knowledge from doing that. And that's got a really great opportunity to evolve into a new thing, you know. And when it's in galleries and when it's street art, it becomes a different thing. And I don't think it should change graffiti. I think graffiti should stay as it is, and graffiti really should. But
it will. I mean, inevitably, it will inevitably, because, you know, you know, when you had a lot of, I mean, in the 80s, there was a lot of flack. If you were anywhere near a stencil, you were like you were the devil.
Oh yeah,
you were outcast.
Yeah, I know.
If you pick up a roll of tape, you know, it was like, you know what I mean? And you know, having that massive hiatus for me, but seeing that world and seeing a delayed response, because, you know, LA started to pick up, you know, after the New York wave, when the trains were dead, and then it all just died out again. But like any sleeping giant, it came back a lot fiercer because its acceptability started spreading like wildfire.
Yeah, it did, for sure.
But going back to you, I mean, the reason why I think you stand out from a lot is that the work that we commissioned at Aurum and the work that you do generally, I mean, I get fascinated by your technique. And I want to talk to you a little bit about, was it something where you're a graffiti writer that went to study fine art? Was it something that was already in your toolbox? Tell me a little bit about the idea of working with oils, because when you say graffiti writer and you say working with oil paint, it doesn't go into the same.
Yeah, I know.
But you need to explain this to me.
I've done this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Let me know. I mean, what is it? I mean, what is it?
I mean, look, I always liked art as a kid, and I started making plasticine models. That was my thing. I used to copy the Wallace and Gromit movies and just popular cartoon characters in clay. That was my thing, plasticine mostly. Painting, I never had the patience for painting. As soon as I discovered graffiti around 16, 17, that was it. My life was absorbed by graffiti. I mean, that was everything to me. But mainly because of the rebellious side of it. It wasn't really the artistic side. I slowly moved into painting legal walls, and it was more about making a nice wall than just doing illegal stuff and getting up, you know? So my focus sort of changed. And slowly over time, I think I've just become a lot more interested in classical painting, in stuff that's in galleries that's 200, 300, 400 years old.
Tell me about that. I want to know more about that, because that is really interesting, because a lot of graffiti writers, it stops there. No one quotes Rubin or, you know, or Gainsborough or who. I mean, give me an example. Who, when you was looking at this other stuff, which was a bit like looking beyond the loop in rap music, going, hang on, this record came from this.
Yes, exactly. This is the same thing. Yeah, that's it. And looking into funk and soul records and from that.
So it came from somewhere else, and following the family tree. So talk to me about that fine art. What artists would you have cited? Or I mean,
I went to Venice to see a Damien Hirst show. It was a huge Damien Hirst show in Venice. And while I was in Venice, there's incredible art in Venice. I spent the whole time in galleries and churches. Tiepolo really stood out for me, sort of really heavenly scenes, sky scenes with floating angels and cherubs and this sort of stuff. And I think from a graffiti point of view, I came at it like graffiti is about a test of skill. I mean, not always. It's sometimes about just getting up, but you know where it's like about making a really technically skilled piece. So that was my interest in graph. And I think when you start looking at this really classical oil paints and you think, damn, these skills are incredible. And it was just like it was a new challenge. And I thought, I want to be able to do that. I need to be able to work out how to do that. And I did go to university. I went to a fine art university in Bristol. It wasn't the best university.
You were already a graffiti writer,
I only chose to go to Bristol because it had a great graph scene. The first day I went, I met a friend who lives out in Thailand now, Magic and Freedom. We painted loads together, loads and loads. And also Brio, which she interviewed you recently. She lives over in Koh Phangan. Right. So, I mean, I went to uni hoping to learn skills, and I wanted to learn how to paint with brushes, and I didn't learn a single skill at university. I spent the whole time painting graffiti. It was amazing. We got drunk a lot. We painted a lot of graffiti, but there was no skills at all, honestly. So I've taught myself. I've taught myself through YouTube videos and friends and just picking up tips here and there. But I was saying to a friend the other day that I really want to do a painting course. I would like to go to Italy for a few months and learn painting the proper traditional way. Because you can teach yourself and it's great, but to have a real understanding of that thing, I'd really like that, you know.
Well, I think when I look at the females in these images, the other part when you said about technically painting, about this having this ability or having this knack, and also separating yourself, it's like Bio's letter style can move through so much wild style. It's not fixed. It's not like a Rasco where it's fixed or it's, you know, it's just completely fixed, or BG even, where it's just a fixed letter form more or less. But I think with Bio, he wanted to master letter form in his own way, moving through different styles. With the female compositions that you do, my immediate, on looking at these images, I was kind of blown away. There's not, so listening to a record, you're hearing a digital piece of music and you're like, yeah, okay, so I know what software you was using. I know exactly, yeah, okay, cool. And there's not really a great skill to it, but when it comes to the songwriting aspect or some other part of it, which creates some magic, I think with what you've got, there is something really inert, which is so beautiful with the way that you've, number one, mixing these two assets, the idea of the Voyder to the tag. And then we have the female composition, but then the idea of steam or, you know, in behind glass.
Yeah.
Where the hell? Because that's one of those ideas, I think, it's like time stretch, like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I have that one. I'll have that one. Thank you very much. And, it, you know, it miffed a lot of people out, but for you, that's your trick. That's your thing. It's beyond this signature of your own name.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I think it's
I mean, if you look back through my graffiti work over the last few years when I was painting abandoned buildings, I was always trying to find little gimmicks, really, little fun little ideas, you know, like either the transparent Photoshop layer or the brushstroke thing that I was doing for a bit. And I don't know, it's like when you find a fun little concept, it's fun to play with it and see how far you can push it and distort that, and so it's still believable. What I like with what I'm doing now is there's two layers. I can have two images. I can have something very visual, and I can have a written piece of text over the top. So it gives me a chance to I could put a really obscure message over the top of an image that doesn't really fit. But I quite like that, you know, those two layers. I think it also, maybe it shows sort of the shower thing. The people sort of think of it as a shower thing, and I get that. I mean, it's just frosted glass, I suppose, but it's maybe it's a time when these people are vulnerable, and it's a time when these figures are quite vulnerable and in a vulnerable place. And often they are, you know, they're not clothed and they're vulnerable. And that's quite nice. You're showing through a vulnerability, and through the graffiti, something becomes visible. So I think there's a lot of interesting ideas there. I don't know, when I make the work, I'm not always 100% on what the concept is until it's made, you know? And I think a lot of weight is put onto concepts in art now. And I think often the artists don't always know what they're doing until they've done it. And a lot of it's maybe subconscious. And, you know, once you've made it, then you can sort of contextualize it and work out, okay, this is what I meant. At the time of making it, I don't fully understand.
Contextualize later, I get it. And also,
it's interesting. It's interesting to learn and to find out as you go, you know, and just see where the journey takes you, as hippie as that sounds.
Well, you know, on that merit, what you know, when you said about contextualize later, I get that. But what I do love about it is I always remember doing Foundation 1 and 2. And I only lasted the first maybe quarter of Foundation 1. Again, this isn't for me. This is just not for me. You know, it was the art class where it's like, right, everyone take all your clothes off and draw this nude. You know, the idea of getting
your clothes off as well.
They do. It's not, I just think art college, maybe that's all it is. A lot of these freaks, they just go, right, guys, take your clothes off. It's like
no.
It's like the Patrick Stewart, Ricky Gervais moment where he goes, yeah, I've got this great idea. I want everyone she comes in and we just takes the clothes off. We're like, yeah.
And a policewoman comes along and all the clothes fall off.
And all the clothes fall off. And I think it's like that. But I think what's really mad about that is that the funny thing about it is that it's almost as if there's a latency with their understanding of what gets us out off as an artist, or what can, you know, they think that's going to rise it up inside of us. Yeah, it worked in the 70s and the 80s maybe.
Yeah,
but I think by default, we're already traumatized with the 80s and the 90s and the noughties for a lot of these artists. Yeah. That we don't need to take our clothes off. We've already been through vulnerability, trauma. Do you know what I mean?
There's all sorts there, of course.
A lot going on. So I think marrying that idea when you mention that, I think there is a real pure and beautiful thing about what you've managed to capture in that, because you've got this graffiti which is in your face and you've got this in between, and that for me is going to last a lot. That is what I call a truthful idea. And
Thank you.
And a truthful idea, my quote, no one else's, lasts in the honesty of time. Whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's clay making, as long as you have that honesty within your work. And I think you've found it in such a natural way. I see a lot of people clutching at other people's straws. And
yeah, wow, yeah,
you've seen it. But I think with Aurum Gallery, we've got unknown artists, you know, relatively like Tony, which is another Bristol artist. You know, like Tony's a great artist. You should hook up with Tony, because I think Tony and you would really hit it off, because A, she's always constantly drawing the female.
Yeah.
B, the idea of transparency. If you ask her, how does Goldie describe your work? She says transparency. Because I always say there's this thing about her work, which has this, again, vulnerability and transparency, that I really think I'd like to hook you two guys up after this conversation.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
And she's always works in oils and in acrylic. And I think it's a really good thing there. I really think there's something there. And I also like the idea of what active galleries should be doing. Your work's all around the world now. You're getting massive gravity with a lot of stuff. I think the commitment that you've showed us with these 5 pieces that we've commissioned, I'm over the moon. I can't tell you that, you know, our team are ecstatic, because
thank you. That's
really no one represents you here. We wanted to be, obviously, you've got the kind of sole representative in Asia for your work. I think it's proof in the pudding that we put our money where our mouth was for this work.
Definitely.
I think in a lot of terms that pony's left the stocks a long time ago. So many of my friends got kind of knocked by so-called galleries that take the work. They're waiting. They've got mouths to feed. You know, if you believe in something,
of course.
You know, and I guess it goes down to, you know, even Mode posted a really wonderful post, and he, you know, when he says, when Mode opens up, when he starts, there's no stop.
Yeah, for sure.
But he was really talking about the fact that we as a gallery, we mean what we say, because coming from an artist's perspective, we are fragile, and and no matter what we say, you know that a painting is never finished.
Yeah,
you know,
I know.
We're the worst. We're absolutely like,
I said this to you the other day, didn't I? I said this to you the other day. You procrastinate towards the end. You know, I don't know. Is it done? I'm like, yeah, I know. But I think that the general thing for me is that these new pieces of work are so strong. Thank you.
And we're really glad. We really are super happy that you're part of the team now with us and helping us a lot. And of course, in this COVID time, it's been a crazy time.
It really has. But the thing is, this COVID time gave me the chance to really explore more in the studio. And I wouldn't be making this work now if it wasn't for this lockdown situation. You know, it was bad. Obviously, the whole thing has been terrible, but it has given me the chance to really explore and make this new work now. And I'm really pleased that I've managed to do it, because I wanted to do it for a long time. I was doing a lot of commission walls, and I wanted to sort of just be able to focus more on my own work, and it's really given me the chance. And obviously with your gallery, it's really helped that. So I really appreciate it. I really do. And these are the best pieces I've made. So it's really nice to be on board with you.
No, thank you. Well, here's the thing. That's the other thing I wanted to delve into, that obviously the Photoshop element. I speak to ePod, you know, I speak to Jex, you know, as a young Thai artist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know.
You know, the new 0.10, you know, 0.70 graffiti writer, you know, works on Procreate, and they've got it all. Saturno being another one, you know, has got it all mapped out, all the layers. And of course, you know, I look at that way of working, and I can't work like that. It's just because I'm old school. I'm just, there's the outline, get it up, that's it, right? I'm like 55.
No, I know.
You know, whereas someone like Saturno's like, I've got like 5 different variations of light to look at.
Yeah, of course. Right? Yeah, but his lighting sources are the best. I saw a piece he did in Glasgow, and his lighting is incredible. Incredible. Like the double light source. Yeah, he's
double light source stuff. But I think with you as well, I mean, is that a main stake in your work? Is that a thing where working on Procreate for you, where you know, the idea of getting this frosted glass layer, A, was it an accident? B, was it something that you went, shit, this actually looks like condensation, or it looks like a frosted glass? And was it something that happened by accident?
I don't know. I don't remember. I mean, I used Procreate once and it's just not for me. I don't really get down with the vector thing. I'm not great at it and it just takes me too long. I'm all right on Photoshop. I can do the basics on Photoshop, and I discovered it through that. I mean, I don't remember if it was an accident.
The point I'm making is that, you know, technology is going this side, and you've got the kind of purist graffiti writer, street artist, whatever you want to call it here.
Yeah.
And there's this parallel going on where there's an exchange of ideas, not unlike, you know, like whereas the Procreate programs, isn't that really art school? Just if you turn up, you might learn a few techniques.
Well, yeah, it's good to know this stuff.
Is it that? You know what I mean? And I think people like Saturno, it's like, when I look at that, I'm like, for me to even begin, it's going to take me another 10 years.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Forget that. I mean, I want to do a painting course in Italy. I don't care so much about the technology. I use Photoshop when I need to. And these pieces are planned out roughly on Photoshop, but you can't beat the actual painting on the canvas, and you change things, and it's never the same as a Photoshop image, you know. And I like digital. It has its place and it's a useful tool, but I still like paint.
What is it about oil for you? Because for you to make that transition, because you were a graffiti writer that stepped into this fine art love.
Yeah, now, it was all spray paint for me, everything.
Right. So the idea of painting in oil became when? I mean, what was the...
I think it was just going to galleries and seeing this work, and I thought, I want to make stuff as good as that. It's the challenge. Yeah, I think so. And also, I mean, I could have started with acrylic, but oil's got like a weight of history behind it, and it's like there's something about it's oil paint, and it's a link to the past, and I love that. And just the challenge of trying to create something as good as a Tiepolo painting or like any of these masters, you know. And I just, it's still like a graffiti writer's mentality of, I want to burn that, you know. I want to match it, or I want to burn it, or you know, it's the same mentality. It always is. And it's like, I saw that stuff and I was so impressed, and I thought, I need to know how to do that. I can't rest until I know how to do that.
I think the attitude with you, and it's so inherent in real true artists, that you have this desire to want to burn everything, like be better.
Yeah, it's such an ego. It's such an ego.
Such a good graffiti is. I mean, it's one of the only subcultures so ego driven, because it's that survival aspect. But you can't knock that. You know?
Exactly. That's what pushes ideas forward. That's why technology moves forward every year. And this is the sort of the evolution of the human race is all down to ego and wanting to push each other and push yourself and make the better thing than the next person. And it's not always competitive. It's like sometimes you just want to do the best you can possibly do. And I want to make the best thing I can possibly make.
These 5 pieces, they're the best work you've done. Would you say because it was a meeting of minds at the time we spoke, you know, a while back, but it was also to do with, you know, obviously Asia being a new market for you, but obviously the lockdown pandemic thing, you got time to really dig in your heels into these paintings. And what separates them? What is with these 5, which we're going to be obviously showing you now, they're untitled.
Yeah.
5 beautiful pieces of work available at Aurum. And what, for you, what pieces would you think, are they kind of all on equal bearing? Do you have a favorite out of the 5? Is it something which...
I have 2 favorites at the moment, but I don't know until they're fully finished and the dust is settled, and then it changes, you know.
I want to just show everyone before, because we're going to give you a sneak preview, but look at this.
To show you, yeah. Okay, so we got this one. This is one of the favorites.
This is the killer for me.
Yeah, this one, I love this one.
It's the angel with dirty faces. It's got that, you know, that circle.
Yeah, and it's sort of, it's quite an emotive pose, you know. It's she's very
for me, it's even the angels are giving this some thought. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I'm loving this one. Wow. So this is one, and then this one, I'm also very in love with this one. I mean, I'm drawn to ovals at the moment. So
oval, this is your thing, man. This oval for me is wow.
I mean, the oval's a connection to the past as well, to historical painting. Totally. I think it's lovely. And then we've got this one here. This one, I'm really keen on this one. This one, I find the you can't see it. The light's bad.
I can now. There you go.
So the faded bit on this one, the misty, steamy bit, I think it works really well down the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's maybe the best steamy area I've done so far, because that arm is really quite visible.
Yeah.
But up close, it's the colours barely change up close.
Wow.
I'm not doing a great job with this camera.
I got you. Now I know we're going.
I mean, it's really subtle. It's really subtle.
Yeah.
And this one, obviously, this was the first one I finished.
I mean, this is so classic though for me. The way that in terms of the pose, how those master paintings would have, you know, the ladies drawn back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Special. I mean, I just, they're stunning pieces of work. They really, really are. I mean, you've got to see that. I think that this is a real springboard. I don't know where you'll go. It's like, you know, when you hear an artist and you hear a few tunes, you're like, Jesus Christ, God help us in like 6 months' time, a year's time.
Yeah,
they're doing it now. Do you know what I mean? And that's the pitch for me. You know,
that's lovely to hear you say that, man. I appreciate that. I really do.
It's a given, man. I've been here long enough, you know, to see that, and I really, at my age, to think that we'd be involved in giving a lot of young and old people, you know, a lot of young cats, old cats, male and female, you know, international artists. I love that gallery. I mean, Aurum's got everything. You know, the first.
Got some great people in there. Really great people.
But the thing is about it is you walk in there and you think the first thing people say is, Jesus, the space. It's, you know, and I think we were robbed, Voyder, because we've got a train to paint there, man.
I know it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We need to
train with a lady, and we just smash out two little pieces. I just smashed the letters on the belly and the boobies.
It's going to happen. We need to make it happen, and
we're
going
to do that, right? And all of a sudden, it locked down.
100%. Yeah.
You and Bio were due to come out, and that would have been just ridiculous. It would have been.
That would have been crazy. Yeah. Are you? How is it there now? Is it still? Are you still locked down?
Now we're still the lockdown even more. Believe it or not, because we had this massive freedom free year when everyone else was locked down. You know, so now it's kind of like it's critical in that respect. So, you know, I'm coming back. We're going to be doing. I want to come and see you in Bristol.
I'm in London now.
Well, I'm in
London. You'll be around London, won't you?
Well, I'm going to be back next month. I want to come by the space.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we need to find a wall so we can get on a.
I've got some potential walls lined up, so we're good.
I think we should do that. I want a little Aurum on the road trip. And yes, and you know, for me, it's great being back in the field because. You know, I came here without any idea of building a gallery. You know, my partner and the team, it's like, wow, we've got this great position now and it's good to be able to sit back a little bit and celebrate this wonderful art. And I think on the back of the documentary, The Art That Made Me was a really big jump off point because people didn't really.
Yeah, it's a great documentary. It's really good.
It didn't connect with a lot of people. Like, really? It's obvious, guys. There's this connection. And I think Bristol, you know, for me, obviously, all roads lead to London, but Bristol's always had the great history with hip hop and with the culture generally.
Oh, definitely, Bristol, incredible art scene, graffiti scene, amazing.
But what was the other thing for you in terms of, because I see, because when people say to me, "Are you originally from Bristol? Are you?" I'm like, "No, I'm from Wolverhampton." It's like people always connect you to Leicester for some reason.
Me.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people trying to connect. I'm like,
I mean, I just did a lot of work in Leicester through the Graph HQ lot and Graph work, and they organised a lot of jobs. There was I did some murals at the Leicester City Stadium after they won the Championship or the FA Cup, whatever it was.
Sticks. That's all I'm going to say.
They won, I think. Yeah. So that was around 5 or 6 years ago. So I did a lot of work there. I was there quite a bit, and I've got a lot of friends there, some good people, great scene, and they do an amazing street art festival. So I've got a bit of a connection with Leicester. I've got a bit of a connection with London now. And obviously everyone still thinks I'm from Bristol because that's sort of where I made my name, really. But I didn't even grow up in Bristol. I grew up around Bristol and a few small towns around there. But I think people just assume you're from a place where you sort of made your name, don't they?
That's it. I was kind of Bristol. People say you're from Bristol. You know, like I'll just pass through.
But you've got a big connection with New York as well, haven't you? So
New York, New York's, you know, Tats and that's always going to be my family. Tats is my crew, and I'm happy that they put me under the wing very early, and then the rest is history. Who are your favourite artists, if you had to name 3 classic artists and 3 graffiti artists or contemporary artists, who would they be?
Right, I've got to say the king is Picasso, and what I love about Picasso is his work's autobiographical. It speaks about him and his life. I mean, obviously there are some political paintings that he did, but mainly it's about him, his life, his human experience, and I think that's what's really interesting. You know, an experience of a person. I love that. I mean, visually his work's incredible as well. It's like, I think if you look at those early Picassos when he painted realism and he painted really traditional looking paintings and he just flipped it all on its head and created something new. I don't think you can go straight to the abstract like that. I think you need to go from a place of you understand the realism and you distort it. Yeah, of course. I think
people never got that. I just think he just went from that to that, and it was never.
Yeah, no, it's huge. That's a huge load of work in between to like get to that phase, and that's amazing. It's incredible. I mean, so prolific. The amount of work he produced is amazing. So I'd say he's got to be number one for me. The work of Tiepolo and I don't know. There's too many artists. I mean, Italy. It's just Italy, you know. Da Vinci. Raphael, I mean, just incredible.
I mean, for me, Rubens and those kind of things. I think about classic paintings. I think, wow, but you know, it's a little bit. I see what it feels like, that stuff. When you look at masters, you know, it's like when, you know, D&B heads have got their D&B heads on, and then you go over here and learn to conduct with an orchestra, and you go like, and you open up your eyes and you see a whole room full of 70 players. Yeah, you go back to DJ on a Friday night and you think, guys, we're just pushing buttons. Do you know how hard that is?
Yeah, of course.
So we get an aerosol
can to that stuff.
We get an aerosol can and you know, Photoshop and a few ideas. These guys are doing this stuff then without any
hundreds of years ago. I know, without all that.
That's the thing about it. We'll never be on. You may rest on the shoulder of giants, but to be giants, I think we're always going to be in that shadow. But I think graffiti writers, I think you'll become the new. I think there will be a set of writers like Mode. Yeah, I think is on his way to be a master in his own right for what he does.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible. He's incredible.
When you look at Mode's bookwork and you look at what he's achieved from a sketch perspective, in Black Book for a start. Yeah. For me, that's like, you know, godlike. Yeah, incredible. But I mean, what new writers, what artists that you think, wow? Like,
I mean, I love what Felipe Pantona's doing, because I think it's really interesting.
He just matched that last week. I mean, that whole project.
Insane. Yeah, it is insane, and like really pushing the use of technology. It's not all about paint and, you know, I mean, graffiti, coming from graffiti, you're very, like you said before, you get very stuck in your way of, you can't use stencils, you can't do, there's too many rules. I mean, he's really embraced loads of technology and made it work, and the imagery he makes is incredible. The sort of the circular sculptural wall pieces that change color as the colors move is so good. Alongside, as well as him, I think what Aches is doing.
That's some clever. I mean, that's right there.
Yeah,
some clever shit. Like, you know, you think, shit, that motherfucker got those 3 layers. Like he's got it locked.
Yeah, he's ridiculous, that guy, and he's a good friend, and I love him to bits.
Give him my regards. I was trying to reach out for him for the gallery because I wanted to get some of his pieces in there, but I think I don't know whether we missed it or what happened.
He's crazy busy. You can see he's blown up massively, you know, and like, good for him. He's really smashing it, and like, he's found a great idea and he's just pushed it heavily, and he's doing amazing things with it. A third one, I don't know.
For me, I think from coming from a graffiti writer's point of view, I think Berlin smashed it. I think he killed
Berlin's it. Incredible. You've got some of his work.
Because I think I've got a lot of his work. I mean, Berlin, what I love about him is that when he did that Picasso portrait, that Picasso for me summed it up. The guy that they're calling the new Picasso and the other, his style is, or his abstract, you know, the way that he works.
Yeah, it's really good.
Art imitating art. And there's a difference with him that when you look at what he's doing with acrylic and aerosol, and then when you look at what he's doing with just his brushwork, close up on the large stuff, you're like, you know what I mean? It separates the wheat from the chaff for me on that.
I like, I'm really into Shock One. I don't see enough I'd love to see more of his. He's so good. And the thing is, I think what stands true is with those three artists. I mean, I suppose you could call them all street artists, or they do a lot of street art work.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
But the best street artists are graffiti artists. The best street artists used to be graffiti artists, always. And I think it shows a real maturity and an understanding of what they're doing when they were graffiti artists before. And I think
it's that extra thing they have over.
There's an edge, definitely. 100%.
And I think that's what we do at Aurum. We like to have, when you look at whether it's Mad C or Crash, you know, it's just this thing that they have. And I think we lean heavily towards street art, the art, but we have a lot to say about where that comes from. And I think the idea, what backs that, is that power that they have. You know, it stands out. You see in their work.
It does. Vils, incredible. Like, it's incredible.
Again, come from the street. You know, Roadman came from graffiti, and I think we've done incredibly well here with Vils. He's a very good friend of mine. We've done incredibly well with what he's achieved, and he's in his own right. The amount of shows that he's done, that he just, you know, 3 days is done, shut down, is, you know, is massively, the concept of his work as well.
It's really powerful.
You know, we're really, really happy. So look, man, I'm just super stoked. I can't wait. These are going to be wrapped up, so we need to make sure you get it all on camera.
We'll get it all filmed. We're going to put a video together for you.
That'd be good, man. But thank you so much for your time. I'm really, really stoked.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you've really helped and given me the opportunity in getting some work into your gallery. I can't say I really appreciate it.
Forever, really, man. Good. That's how we roll. So God bless you, man. Voyder signing out. Thank you so much for Gallery TV, and we're here. And we catch us next month. Peace.